Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Inter Extra podcast. I am Sean here with your co host, Simi. And today we've got a special guest with us, our first guest appearance, Alessandro Rafa from the Interviews podcast. I want to throw it over to Alessandro first. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I this is my second Inter podcast of the day, so hopefully I still have enough in the tank to give the listeners something to talk about.
Simi, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I tried to put myself out of just get away from football a little bit for today. I was active a little bit earlier, when good old Thomas was asleep, but had to take the afternoon off football to make sure that I don't think about how happened too much. Think about the fact that the squad is seemingly split, but we'll get into that for sure. But yeah, I'm okay. How are you, bro? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I mean, it's the time to take a break from football, honestly. We're going
Pretty
to talk
much.
about it today, of course. We've got the Club World Cup, all the drama that comes with the Club World Cup, of course. And then we've got um, transfer news, we've got our incomings, we've got rumors of who's coming, and then some of our outgoings and some other things. And then we'll wrap up with some international games. And yeah. So, Simi, if you want to plug where we can find us, where everyone can find us.
Yeah, as per usual, obviously, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, make sure you give us a good rating. Whatever the positive things you can do on the different platforms, make sure you do that. Share with all your friends. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, share, obviously, subscribe if you're new on YouTube, and comment depending on, what your opinions are on the different topics that we're talking about today. Let us know what you think about Lautaro, Hakan, Kibu, Club World Cup. And obviously, if you don't already, follow us on Twitter. We're closing in on 70K, so make sure you follow us there. But yeah,
Wild,
it is crazy when
wild,
you think about it. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah,
crazy.
Awesome.
we have to talk about the Club World Cup, don't we? Um, yeah. What happened?
Yeah. Well, so um, I want to ask Alessandro first. I know you gave a little bit more in depth of what you thought on your own podcast, interviews podcast. So you don't have to go into all of that, but just briefly, more of how the game looked and how the players looked to you uh, yesterday. What do you think?
I mean, yesterday specifically, it looked like they had no rhythm, but Fluminense had a big part to do with that, right? Playing against these CONCACAF sides, South American sides, it's tough to get our game going because they play in such a different way. But overall, coming into the tournament, I said we weren't going to be able to take much from what Kivu is going to do with this team and what they're going to look like heading into next season. And genuinely, it was only an opportunity for people to find a reason to be upset about Inter or to doubt Inter and, bring on the problems. I think ultimately the biggest thing that came out of this, obviously everyone healthy is a good thing. There's no like major injuries that we know about that they've communicated to us, but the biggest thing is like it was way too much media for our guys to be doing right now. It was way too much talking about how the Champions League went. It was way too much talking about Inzaghi leaving, and obviously it was an opportunity to start an issue, even though I don't think it should be an issue around some players that are outgoing. So this tournament had no value outside of a few extra million. Congratulations, put it in the coffers. But for me, it was more of a detriment than anything for a team that desperately needs some time away, both physically to recover, but also mentally, they're not in a great place. We don't have to dance around it. They're not in a great place. So I'm happy that they're out. I,
Yeah.
I don't love the performance. I don't love crashing out of a tournament, but gotta think big picture, and big picture, like they need time away. They just do.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add there. I mean, emotionally, they're drained as well, and we can see that. Um, yeah, I had written down for my own notes that they are in the Charlotte, North Carolina Heat yesterday. If that isn't that where they played? They played in Charlotte,
Yeah,
North
yeah.
Carolina.
Bank of
Yeah, I mean
America.
that's the same. That's as far south as southern Italy. So that's like southern Italy in the summer, and they're trying to play out there in a stadium that is just going to absorb heat as well. I don't think people realize how much uh, those or the American football stadiums here in the U.S. actually capture heat, and some teams have certain sidelines hotter than another to mess with the away team when they come and play American football. So there's a possibility that one half of that field is even hotter than the other as well. So it's crazy. It's not an excuse for how they played, but just something to keep in mind for these guys. But yeah, I couldn't add anything more than what you said, Alessandro.
I just quickly want to throw in the fact that like this tournament, to me anyway, right? This is my personal opinion, and I tweeted about this as well on my personal account. Like, to me, this tournament was dead from the start. When it got announced, slash when it got announced that Inter were going to be in it, I was already saying, I remember tweeting as well, this is pointless. And I'm the last person to usually say, like when it comes to the Coppa Italia, Supercoppa, to say, like, throw away the games, whatever. I'm the last person to say that because I feel like that's important. But with a made up competition, yeah, I was the first guy to be like, just whatever happens, happens because these players need rest. The more we play, the further we went on in this tournament, the less rest or vacation, quote unquote, if you can call it vacation for those 1.5 weeks that we have now. Like the further we go, the less vacation basically for these players. And I said from the start, like obviously the way that things have kind of unfolded these last like 24 hours is a bit unfortunate because you don't want to lose in that fashion. But then in what fashion do you want to lose, kind of thing. So to me, it was kind of irrelevant from the start. I wouldn't have even complained if we went out in the group stages because again, it doesn't matter to me. I think for some of these guys, and I respect Lautaro for saying, leave everything on the pitch, but I think for some of these guys, they feel the same way. Like, they just want, and like deservedly so, need a break. 65 games or 64 games in a season is too much. Like, I'm a big advocate for that, to just scrap a lot of these big tournaments, made up tournaments, because I don't see the point. Like, the player's health gets completely, like, ignored and thrown in the bin. So to me, yeah, but again, I agree with both of you guys. It's visible that they're mentally and emotionally exhausted, and also physically, obviously. Um, but yeah, the only guys you wrote it down, Sean. Like Barella was okay, and I also tweeted that I thought Seba was okay. And that's about it. Like no one else really did anything to worth note.
Yeah, Seba didn't come in a good situation either for
Yeah.
the end of that game. But also, one thing to mention is that Pio, even after scoring the game winner against River Plate, he was taken out because he was injured. Um, I thought that was the right choice. Just protect him. Like we saw what we wanted to see from him in the 45 minutes against the Urawa Red Diamonds and then against River Plate. So protecting him, we know what he can offer now. So yeah, I think that was good. We don't have to discuss the game much anymore.
No.
So we'll go into what happened afterwards. We had some strong words and some drama from Lautaro. Kivu commented a little bit, and then Beppe really stirred up some drama um, immediately after the game. And we'll start with Lautaro. So the first thing he said is, "My message is clear. Those who want to stay, stay, but those who want to leave must leave. I'm a winner. I want to fight for trophies. This is an important badge to fight for. This must be the message." And he continued and said, "I don't like losing. I want to say one thing. You must want to be here. Um, am I clear? is that clear. Whoever wants to stay, stay. If you want to leave, leave. I've seen many things that I don't like. I'm the captain, and I want to continue to stay at the top. And then he's finished that by saying, I'm speaking in general, not about anyone in particular. It was a long and tiring season. We finished without winning any trophies. We must fight, have desire, and be a group again, like the year of the Seconda Sella. So, I like it. I like the fight from Lautaro. I mean, he was the one I think that took the longest to say something to everybody. And as our captain, you kind of want him to say something first. So after the Champions League final, I should say, at the end of the regular European season. He said the right things when he finally said something. But this is a captain speaking, I think. And really, honestly, it's an
Yes, we lost you, Sean.
Argentine captain speaking. Like, this is some, yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Simi? I'll start with you.
Yeah, you were lagging out for a second there, but I know what you mean. It's
Okay.
like, look, for me, as a captain, you have a certain responsibility to make not just your teammates, but the fans understand what, like, what the desire of the team is, because you're speaking on behalf of the team. I don't know if going out in public to say that is necessarily the smartest thing. I don't blame him for doing it, because after the match, you're sad that, or you're mad even that you've gone out. I don't know how I feel about the fact that he's just made it public, and instead of just saying this in the dressing room. But I can't blame him. Like I said, I feel like he has a valid point. Like whoever doesn't have, well, I think mainly what he means is like the attitude on the pitch, when you can tell that some players don't want to be there. Which again, I feel like it's a bit of a rough, like it's a bit unfair, not unfair, but struggling to find the right word, because some of these players are genuinely just tired and just want vacation. So if they don't want to go to the final of the Club World Cup with 32 teams, I don't blame them at the same time. That doesn't mean that they're not fighting for the badge. They're just tired. They are playing 60 plus games a season. So I get Lautaro, but I also get the players that are just very much exhausted and don't want to fight for 90 minutes in the Charlotte heat, Like, with all due respect, there's a limit to a lot of these players, and that's like, even Lautaro has to understand that. If he wants to run until his legs give up, then fair enough. But there's only so much that these players can do,
Yeah. Yeah, he even said that. He said, I'm not talking about everything in general off the pitch. You can't do things alone. We all fight together.
Correct.
I'm the first responsible person in charge. I'm the captain. That's why I come and talk. I'm terribly sorry for this defeat. So, I think there was a lot of anger at the game as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And Rafa, what about you? Being captain, taking responsibility, but also kind of calling his team to something higher.
So, what can we agree on? Is Lautaro the type of person to bring something up and start controversy for no reason?
No.
He's not. So if he's saying that, there is a problem. What else can we agree on? If there is a problem, something needs to be done. Something needs to be addressed. And I tweeted it out earlier, like, Lukaku giving us the runaround had us end up with Arnautovic. Unsureness about Inzaghi's future had us, running around trying to find a new coach. We can't afford to hear from Hakan 3 weeks from now that he wants out. We need to know now. Like, that's just how it is. We need to be a serious club. And if a little bit of ugly leads to a quick resolution, then I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Instead of playing Mr. Nice Guy and dragging this thing out and doing things as they should be done for the cameras, it's only going to hurt the club long term. Whatever, there's a clash, between players. If it's going to lead to Hakan leaving and we can replace him sooner rather than later, fine. Fine. Good by me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets ugly. But it's time to move. Like let's not dilly-dally for the sake of like political correctness. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I have some additional thoughts, but I want to get through what Kivu said and Beppe said before that. Kivu said, Lautaro's words, "We're winners here. Sometimes the sport brings out pride and competitiveness. We have to be in the same boat. This applies to the club and team that wants to redeem ourselves after a difficult year." And then he said that he's happy with the 3 weeks and where the group is. There's pros and cons, character and pride of the boys after a long season. He wants to look at things glass half full, and he can use these 3 weeks to plan next season, of course, after they come back from a break. And he might not need one because he already got his 2-3 weeks after Parma's season ended. And then Beppe name drops here. And Rafa, you already mentioned who it was, but Lautaro was referring to Hakan Çalhanoğlu. We're not going to speak directly with him, or we're going to speak directly with him next week. If our paths separate, we will not hesitate to do so. Lautaro was speaking about always giving your best for the team. And then he doubles down on what Lautaro said. Any player who shows that they want to leave the club, the door is wide open. So yeah, I was a little surprised by what Beppe did, coming out and name dropping someone. I don't think that he's ever done that before in his career. He doesn't call people out. And I'd mentioned it to the both of you before we started, but I think that this is covering for more than just Hakan. I think it does include Hakan, but he hasn't really done anything to show that he's trying to burn Inter. Like I know his entourage has been doing a lot, but it seems like his message has been clear and that the club understands where his head's at and where he's at. So there's no confusion there. I think Beppe is covering for Lautaro calling out other players and actually some of the management not doing things quickly, properly. I think it was a message for everybody that's involved at Inter, and maybe even fans alike. If you're not here to defend the team, the badge, and I think we're all there after the Champions League final, but anyone who doesn't want to be here, you can go. There's no one is untouchable anymore, right? We're here for Inter. And so I just thought that all of this is interesting. I want to know what you guys think, and we'll start with you, Rafa.
It's an interesting thought, but I can't think of someone specifically that this would be about. That's my only thing. Like Hakan, it makes sense. Like tying it to the Lukaku situation, he didn't move quick enough, and that set Inter back. Like I think Beppe was pretty much in a situation where he can create a catalyst for getting things moving, and he took advantage of it. Like he basically forced Hakan's hand. You're gonna move or you're gonna stay. Like what's it gonna be? That's ultimately, what I think it's about. I just can't think of anyone else that it would be covering for.
Yeah, the only other name I would think is Fratesi. This back and forth that he's done. Like, do I go? Do I stay? Right. If your mind is halfway out, just go ahead and step out the door. Um, yeah. No, I hear it. And then the Skriniar deal as well,
That too.
where
Yep.
Beppe didn't move fast enough, Auxilio didn't move fast enough with the deal, and yeah, basically screwed us over. So, Simi, what you think?
Yeah, I just want to pick up on what Rafa said earlier. Like, there's a need to sort this out now. Like, we don't want Hakan deciding in like 6 weeks and then we don't know what we're gonna do on that position. Which is why I can pull it up here again. Which is why Beppe said we're going to speak with him directly next week, right? Now, I would speak to him tomorrow if I was Beppe, right? But hopefully, like they sort this out sooner or later because that's we don't want to end up in a situation like that. And also, when Beppe said Lautaro was speaking about always giving your best for the team, I think this is about two separate things. Now, first thing is like you said, Çalhanoğlu, maybe Fratesi, these guys where it's transfer rumors back and forth. And then the second thing is about giving everything for the team. So not even about transfer rumors, but then maybe he's hinting at guys that on the pitch aren't giving or don't look like they're giving their best. Maybe hinting at a couple of performances that seem like, like passionless, they don't have the same attitude as Lautaro on the pitch or, other examples. So I think there's a few things to uncover when it comes to this, or a few things to resolve, because it's not just a problem of who wants to stay, who wants to go. It's also a problem of who plays like they want to fight for this badge. That's, I think, something that we need to focus on as well, or the club needs to focus on. Not we're not the board. Like the club needs to focus on in terms of resolving maybe an attitude issue. Maybe there's an attitude issue with some players, because that's obviously what Lautaro is referring to as well. So. Yeah, but since I have them pulled up right now, let me just look at what Fabrizio said to that as well, because he was on the podcast himself saying the time for decisions begins for Inter, important decisions on different figures, different players, and other reinforcements, which kind of is already what I just said, right? Like there's a lot of movement that needs to be done in order to clarify who actually wants to play for this badge, right?
Yep. Yeah, and then do you have the other quote there?
Yes, I do.
His which is I agree with him, which is why I was thinking it and why I mentioned it earlier, but how Lautaro's not speaking about just Hakan, right? That's the most pressing one. That's the most obvious one, but that he's talking about multiple things. He could be talking about multiple people.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. And I guess we're going to have to see for the rest of the summer what happens with this team, if there's a huge overhaul that we think is coming. And everyone, if y'all would, leave your thoughts and comments, what you think about all of this down below. We'd love to hear from you. It'd be great. But yeah, shoot, a lot of drama there.
As always, as always.
Forza Inter is back,
That's
as
that.
as Zio Sharma said on his video earlier. Which was
Sean, do you
great.
want to pull up the statement from Çalhanoğlu as well? Since we're
Yeah. Let me read that before we move on, I guess. So Hakan earlier today put a statement on Instagram on his story. And he said, it's a long one, and I'll read it all.
okay.
After the injury I suffered in the Champions League final, we still decided that I should travel to the team to the US. Being there supporting the boys even though I couldn't play, it meant a lot to me. Unfortunately, during training in the US, I sustained another injury in a completely different area. The diagnosis, a muscle tear. That injury made it impossible for me to be on the pitch during the tournament. There's no other reason, nothing more behind it. Yesterday we lost and it hurt. I felt sadness, not just as a player, but as someone who truly cares. Even though I'm currently injured, I picked up the phone right after the match and called a few teammates to lift their spirits, because that's what you do when you care about your team. What surprised me even more were the words that came after, words that hit hard, words that divide, not unite. In my career, I've never looked for excuses, I've always taken responsibility. I've played even through pain, I've led especially in difficult moments, not with words, but with actions. I respect every opinion, even from a teammate, even from the club president. But respect is not a one-way street. I've always shown respect on and off the pitch. I believe that in football, as in life, true strength lies in showing respect, especially when emotions are running high. I've never betrayed this club. I've never said I'm not happy at Inter. There were offers in the past, tempting ones, but I stayed. Because deep down, I know what this shirt means to me, and I believed my actions spoke clearly. I've had the honor of wearing the captain's armband for my country, and I've learned that leadership means standing by your team, not pointing fingers when it's easiest. I love this game, and I love this club, and I love the colors I fought for every single day. But what the future holds now, we will see. But history always remembers those who stood tall, not those who shouted the loudest.
That last sentence is interesting, boy.
Yeah, a strong response,
Whew.
in my opinion.
Very much,
And
yeah.
I don't, I think it was the right thing to say. I don't think Hakan has really showed that he doesn't love the club. But I think both can be, I don't think it's mutually exclusive that both said the right thing. Because again, I don't think Lautaro was talking about just Hakan. And Hakan has every right to say that he's fought for this club, which he has. So, whew. Good stuff. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Top stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
listen, it's not like he's come out and said anything about his dad openly saying he wants him at Galatasaray. It's not like he wasn't at a wedding partying while his teammates were, 120-degree heat. He's absolutely not perfect in this situation, and we understand injuries, but like Lauti specifically can feel a way about it given what he did to be available for the Barcelona second leg. And obviously the Club World Cup, it's not the same thing, but if Lauti has a certain kind of mentality, you know, Hakan didn't live up to that specific mentality.
That's a good
Statements are
point.
fine, but he could have made a statement earlier when his agent was spotted in Istanbul, you know.
Yeah, he did. He squashed rumors last summer, and he's not doing it right now. So,
And
He said,
also,
because he said we'll see what the future holds. That's the problem. Well, problem. But that's why, it's not clarifying anything. He's just saying, oh, we'll see. But I love this club, but we'll see.
yeah, and he also like mentioning I've stood by the club, in the past. It's like, okay, well, the club was much closer to European glory than it is right now. Like everyone can accept it's a more difficult moment. So
Absolutely.
it's not absolving you of sticking with the club during a difficult moment. It was easy to stick with a team that had just went to a Champions League final, had just won a second star, and was on their way to challenging for more.
it's true. That's true. Yeah. But Forza Inter, we still love it.
There you go.
But on some more positive news, and we'll move on into our transfer news on mercato. But today, so yesterday we got the Ange Boni "Here We Go" from Fabrizio. And today we also got his medicals were done. So it looks like we're gonna have that official announcement from Inter in the next couple of days. Price tag about 25 million, maybe a sell-on clause in there as well. I know I saw Simi, I saw what you tweeted about it when we got the news. So yeah, you can give your thoughts on that.
Like I love how you said, let's move on to some more positive news. I was like, the positive depending on how you see it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the profile that he is. I like the player. Do I think he's worth 23 plus 3 plus 20% sell-on clause or 25%, whatever it is? No, absolutely not. I said it, like you said, I tweeted about it. 17, 18 million, maybe. Yes, I know the market is crazy inflated right now. We're seeing like 100 million price tag for Bortomada, the Stuttgart striker. Like, listen, I'm not like an expert in terms of how much a player is worth, but still, it feels like a lot for me, especially. I know some people are probably tired of my comparison, but he scored 6 goals in a good Parma team. And then we have Seba Esposito chilling on our bench, probably getting shipped out, who scored like 10 or 11 goals in a very bad, respectfully, very bad Empoli team. Like, and he has a price tag of what, 12 million? Like, these are things that, you know, you have to take into consideration when you look at a price tag of, or in this case, Bonnie's price tag, because Parma obviously pushed it up because they knew that Inter were going to go for him regardless. That's my point. But yeah, I think he's too
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, and Seba as well, that price is just low for me, you know. What do you think, Rafa?
I don't have a problem with zeroing in on a player that you want and then paying the price to make it happen. That's what, big clubs do. And we haven't been doing that for quite a long time. I think Boni's ceiling is like 10 times higher than Seba. I know the
Yeah, for
difference in
sure.
the amount of goals scored, but like he's got a higher ceiling. This was the price you needed to pay to bring him in. And I don't have a problem with it. Like,
Fair enough.
genuinely, for a club that hasn't been spending money to pay 25 mil for a striker prospect, it gives me good feelings, good vibes. And at least it was spent on a player that could be a one-to-one replacement for Thuram in the future. And just a player that we saw dazzle on plenty of occasions last year. I don't read too much into, just 6 goals scored. Parma, it's not like they had a lot of the ball during their game. So yeah, I'm good with it. I'm excited to get some youth and some speed in the team, which I think that we desperately need. So yeah, I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard.
Nice. Well, good. Yeah, speaking of youth as well, we've had this long drawn out discussion of Leone. Um, it looks like reports are saying, I think Gazzetta said that he's about 30 million, and then I've seen that Parma's going to raise it to 40 million because of competition and basically trying to keep everybody away from him, price everybody out, and because they want to keep him. So I guess I'll ask that question: is Inter being priced out of Leone this summer?
They are, without question. And if you're Parma, like you have a potential bidding war between the big three in Italy, Milan, Inter, and Juventus. They're not going to do us any favors. We took their coach and we took their best striker. Like, I get what their position is. They need to make money. Even if we've been working on it for a while, his price going up doesn't surprise me. But this is where all those conversations that you've been having with the player and his entourage for months, like now the flip side needs to come into play, where the player's will makes a transfer, more feasible to do. Which we're going to need because we're not paying 40. That's just a pipe dream if people think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Simi?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna pull it up right here. I remember Beppe talking about it before the game yesterday. That he's obviously, in the notes, and an interesting profile. But what's interesting to me is that, um, you know, there's no concrete negotiations right now, which I kind of think that was clear already. But to me, it kind of sounds like, everyone wants him. We can't really do much, and we don't know if we want to spend all that money. That's kind of what I'm reading out of this. Like, 40 million euros is a lot. I know he's very good, right? And we should have, by the way, I know we said this last week or 2 weeks ago, I think. We should have went for him when he was at Sampdoria, when he was 17. We were very close to striking a deal, and then something happened, and then a couple of weeks later, Parma got him for however much it was, like 6 million or something. Now thinking back, obviously now you're saying, if you knew back then, you would have been laughing now, but you don't know back then that he's gonna, evolve into the player that he is now, which maybe he wouldn't have even done that under Inzaghi. You never know, right? But yeah, I think he would be the right choice. or one of the best choices we could have for a centre back, reinforcement. But I just think 40 million is too much. But
Yeah, to get that done, we need him to do something to help us out. And then really good news that came from the Club World Cup. Good news on two fronts, in my opinion. We talked about this, but Pio Esposito is staying. The club is convinced. Kivu's convinced. And so we have a fourth striker.
amazing.
I know you're happy, Simi.
So you can see
I
me
know you
smiling from across the Atlantic, bro. Like this, I know we talked about it because we had it like almost breaking news coming in last episode, on Thursday last week, that he was gonna stay, but now it seems like it's official. He deserves it. I'm very happy for him. And I remember watching his first loan spell at Spezia last season, and I was like, I don't really know if this is, like he barely did anything. And then this season, he destroyed that league. So he deserves it, and he worked hard for this. So very happy for the kid.
Yeah.
For me, he's ready. Like he's the type of profile, like Dzeko-like profile that we haven't had, and I'm not really buying the he's 19 years old, like he needs to be a starter and get minutes. Like there have been plenty of 19-year-olds in the Serie A that have lit it up and done their job from the bench. You don't need to be starting at a big club at 19 years old. Like let's use him. Taremi got plenty of minutes last year. Correa and Arnautovic, when they weren't injured, they were options. So let's use them. And obviously, the coach knows him very well. So if he's confident that he can be a part of the team, I think it's because he's going to rely on him.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, the 140 minutes that we've seen of Pio, he's had more of an impact in that time than I would argue Correa has had in the last 3 seasons at Inter. And then Taremi, yeah, he's come in and he's shown that he can play. I hope that he gets a lot of minutes. I hope we don't change to a different formation and play with just one striker. Maybe that actually gives him more game time because we don't have his profile in the team really. So yeah, I'm so happy. But also because of that, there was a report, Timmy, if you've
Yes.
got it, that because of Pio staying, that we are no longer we have cooled interest in Rasmus Højlund at Manchester United, which makes me double happy. So, we talked about it last week, Simi and I, that we don't understand the move and we don't like it. So, Rafa, if you want to just quickly comment on it.
Yeah, I don't think now is the time for a reclamation project. Like I just let's not get this, especially with like an obligation that's going to be north of 40 million. Like money better spent elsewhere for sure. And I don't think he has as high of a ceiling as either Boni or Pio. So frankly, like this midfield needs some work. Center back needs some work. Like money better spent elsewhere.
Yeah. And speaking of money better spent elsewhere.
Before you jump onto that, guys, I have a hard stop here at 5 p.m. for a work call. Appreciate you having me on so much. You guys, I've been listening to the pod. You're getting better and better every week. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of synergy between our two podcasts. English speaking Interisti they're eating, as the kids would say.
I appreciate it.
Good.
Man.
No, we loved having you. And yeah, just before you run off, tell people where they can find you.
Yep.
And yeah.
At Alex Rafa on Twitter, at interviews_P0D at Twitter. You guys can find our link tree there.
Awesome. Thanks, Rafa. I appreciate it. And let us know what you guys think of having Rafa on and what he had to say. We'll talk soon.
See you guys.
Take care. In a bit. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. We can keep moving.
Yes.
And we can probably speed through the last couple things. I think this is going to be we'll talk a little bit more about this next point than the rest of it. But yeah, so because again, Pio staying, Højlund not coming in, Inter, there's reports that we're moving to a number 10. That we're shifting to that classic number 10 role that we're going to look for, and that's going to help the midfield, versatility in formation, and then however else that's supposed to help. So in addition to that, we've had rumors of Nico Paz, which everybody's heard about. That one's been going on for a long, long time. And then Arda Güler at Real Madrid. So both Real Madrid, they're not both owned, I guess, but Nico Paz did come from Real Madrid, who did not exercise their buyback of Nico Paz this summer. So that's done for the summer, which means Como has all of the selling rights of Nico Paz this summer. And then I believe Fabrizio tweeted out or mentioned it that these are just dreams, that there's no real concrete moves for these guys, but these are just fabrications. Fabrizio and saying that they're fabrications. So I like the idea and I like the names, but it doesn't look like those are going to happen this summer.
No, people love to throw. I love it when Fabrizio or Matteo Moretto sometimes on their videos say like, I've been tapping into the Italian channel too. They've been saying like, for a lot of these rumors, like we don't know where it comes from. It always makes me laugh because people love to make like little things turn little things into big things, like just because Javier Zanetti knows Nico Paz's dad or whatever, or his uncle's cousin's dog, doesn't mean that like now we're gonna sign him, or it's starting to get hot or something like that. My thought on the situation is I don't know if how much of a say Real Madrid would have if Como decided to sell him or do something with him, but clearly they're planning with him. So in my opinion, and even if I was Nico Paz, I would stay at Como for another season. Like that's just what I would do. Maybe if Inter come calling, maybe he folds as you say. But I can't see it happen. I feel like he's smart enough to not leave Como and play for another season. Real Madrid have that buyback clause for 8 or 9 million in 2026, and then 9 or 10 million in 2027. I don't quite remember which sum it was, but they still have control for the next 2 years. I don't know if that would change, by the way, if Inter bought him. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's the situation. I don't see anything happening. Same with Arda Güler. That was always just like kind of just thrown out there, and yeah, like obviously it would make sense to get a little bit more playing time, but Xabi Alonso rates him to the point where he wants to keep him at all costs. So yeah, that's done in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm gonna move around a little bit here because staying on that topic. So in-house at Inter, we do have a player that fits that role. Carboni. He has had some interest to go on loan from Genoa. So, he had that awful ACL injury, and so glad that he's come back and scored in his first appearance back into the team. But yeah, do we keep him to fill that role? And so we don't have to spend any money in that role this season. Or do we go ahead and send him on loan to Genoa? What do you think?
It's difficult because if Kivu genuinely says he'll try a 3-4-1-2 or 3-4-2-1, you're basically not just changing the system, but you're then trusting a player that hasn't had any playing time since October last year and, needs to find his feet again. I don't know if it's smart to do that. But then you can't also loan him out for like a season or even half a season because you need someone to fill that gap. In my opinion, the smartest thing to do is to loan out Carboni, maybe for like half a season, bring him back in case anyone wants to leave in winter, and then stick to the 3-5-2. Because now you have 4 strikers with Boni, Thuram, Lautaro, and Pio to rotate between. I already said this before, if we have an under-23 squad, it's smarter to take a striker up if we need a 5th striker from the under-23 team. That's why we have it established now, so they can play at a decent level, so that if we need a fifth striker, we can call upon it. In terms of an actual 10, therefore, I don't think we need to sign one, nor we need to keep Carboni. Can we still keep Carboni if we play a 3-5-2? Of course, yeah. And obviously, sometimes you might want to change formation. So I wouldn't be against keeping him. I'm just saying, if he really wants to get playing time, alone would probably be better for him. But I'm totally not against keeping him. I feel like he could play as if we're losing, we can bring him on as like a little wing back-ish option. If he just wants to learn how to play in midfield, we can bring him on as Mitsala here and there. I don't mind it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and we saw him play as a part of the front two as well, I think, last game. So
And that, yeah,
um,
there you go.
so yeah, he's got versatility to him, which is good. I don't think there's really a wrong decision here. You know, he needs to recover and to heal. And at Inter, he's going to get that time to heal. Like we don't have to throw him onto the pitch.
Yeah,
You know, we've got the players to cover those positions. But yeah, if he wants a game time and low stress environment, Genoa's a good place to go do that. So yeah, it's interesting.
yeah.
And then, like Nico Paz, Inter did not trigger our buyback of Giovanni Fabian.
Correct.
So that's done because this was the last summer that we could do that.
Yeah,
It was
I remember
summer
last
and this summer.
episode we were talking about thinking it was mid-July or late July, and then a day later, I tweeted that it was actually June 30th. So it was kind of irrelevant. Tweeted this on June 27th, and now obviously we're on the 1st of July. So yeah, I think we could have sold him for more than 12 million. That's just me, but maybe like Beppe just doesn't have time for that right now. I don't know. Like, I guess they'll know what they're doing. Hopefully.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, so he's already been at Bologna. I wonder if, you know, we trigger that buyback, if they would take him back for an even higher fee. You know, are they going to spend the money to do that? Would
It's a
they?
risk.
Yeah, spend. Yeah, it is. So I get it. I get it, but you know, hopefully he does well at Bologna and his career continues to improve. It's always good to see Italians succeed in Serie A, especially Inter products. Some other news of outgoings. So we mentioned it a lot earlier in the pod, but Davide Fratesi, we've heard a lot of rumors to Napoli that Conte likes him and wants him a part of that midfield, give some different options, some more goal scoring midfielders, because Philip Billing is leaving their club. So he's going back, finished his loan. And then, so they only have Scott McTominay as a goal scoring threat for midfield. But recently, it looks like, yeah, it was from today or last night. Atletico Madrid has shown interest in Davide Fratesi. I think they just sold a midfielder as well. So they've got the spot open.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there. Not much to say about that.
Napoli too. I don't know if you had that on your list, but Napoli are interested in Italy. Obviously, we knew that for a while now, but I don't think we mentioned it on the podcast before. My only thing is, same thing when we heard the Carlos Augusto rumors to Atleti. Those are the two of the most like Atleti coded players in our squad. Davide Fratesi just like that kind of Marcos Llorente type, just like go forward whenever you need to, run a lot, and then we go from there. We'll see what else you got, but mainly just run. And then, yeah, same with Carlos Augusto in terms of a left back, that Renan Lodi type profile, good crosses, that like bullying type of body type, like yeah, that like I wasn't surprised when I saw this, but I again I think it's 50-50. I don't really want to read too much into any rumors right now. There was a tweet as well that said, I think Thomas tweeted it, that the future is like Inter haven't decided on Fratesi's future yet, so anything can happen basically. Therefore, any rumors right now kind of seem pointless because Inter doesn't even know themselves whether or not they want to sell, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, like you said, um, Napoli's been interested for a while, so his name's been thrown out for quite some time to leave. And we've got just a couple more things here. So, I did see Sebastiano Esposito, older brother of Pio, had some more links. So even after Fiorentina took their option to buy Albert Gudmundsson, that they still have interest in Sebastiano for 10 million. Now, I don't think that's a bad choice, but I don't like the price because we talked about Boni and the striker market and how much he cost, and it feels like we're giving, you know, we're donating to charity, giving out these guys for this low price. It's 10 million or 12 million for rumors. It just
It's
I,
it's way too low. I know Rafa said like, you know, Bonnie has a higher ceiling, therefore his price is more justified. I'm not. I forgot to say by the way, back when we talk about Bonnie, like I still like Bonnie as a player. Just to finish up on that, but with Seba, it's like the proof is there. This guy can kick ball. We know this. His ceiling is okay, maybe just about not as high as Bonnie's, but he can really, he can take free kicks. He's technical. Like he has a lot of qualities that if he just works on himself a little bit more, even there's a big striker in there. And to me, I wouldn't mind him going to Fiorentina. The only problem is, are you gonna queue up behind Gudmundsson and Moise Kean? Now, obviously, Moise Kean we've heard about Saudi rumors, but as a third striker for Fiorentina, he can do way better than that. I feel like Seba can do a lot better than that. It would be a shame for him to not play regular first team football, if that makes sense. Like, if he's just gonna be a substitute player and then probably not even see like 1,000 minutes, I don't know about that.
yeah, well, I think so. They're in the Conference League again this upcoming season, and they've got Stefano Pioli coming in. I
Maybe.
think Goodmanson has played left wing, so maybe
Okay.
that's the idea.
Okay.
So he gets a little bit more room in there. Um, yeah, I actually think Seba would give them some more options tactically.
Okay. I'll
He
take some
can
of it
play
back
up.
then. I didn't know Goodmanson's position like that in terms of where he actually played, but yeah.
Yeah,
Nah,
he can
I just
play the
want him to play.
10.
You can tell. I just want him to play
Yeah,
pretty
no,
much.
I do too. I mean, Italy is lacking options up top.
And then this
Seba
is
can
this is the
speak
thing as
to
well. Do you think we should insert a buyback clause?
why not if you can, why not? Right, imagine he goes to Fiorentina, he's got better teammates and he explodes.
Which I think he
And
will.
now
Yeah.
you sell him for 12 and you've got a 16 million, 20 million buyback, but you've got a player that just exploded for 20 million? Like, yeah, that's good
Keep all your
business.
options open. Yeah, I think that's what I would do.
Mhm. Yeah. And then the last bit of transfer rumors, and this is heated up in the last 24 hours because of the drama that happened after the game yesterday. But we talked about it last week, Alexander Stankovic possibly leaving. But we have heard today that Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart is the possible Hakan replacement. And so Stuttgart are in um, for Alexander Stankovic. Also, Club Brugge is in advanced talks with the player, but has yet to take place talks with Inter to discuss a deal with Inter. So he's got some suitors. We talked about hoping that he would stay last week. I think we're on the same page there. But yeah, Angelo Stiller being thrown into the mix is some new interesting developments.
Yeah, I think we talked about the price tag too. 10 million just being way too low, in my opinion, personally. I know the Swiss league isn't necessarily known to be, the craziest league in terms of level. However, 10 million for a talent like that, I think you need to put a price tag of minimum 15 or 20 because clearly a lot of clubs want him. Therefore, if you raise the price for another 5 to 10 million, I don't see anything wrong with it. Let's do what Palmer is doing. If there's a player high in demand, raise the price. In this market, you can demand like crazy amounts of money for anyone these days. So like, I don't see why we shouldn't raise the price a little bit. We knew Brugge, Stuttgart, and Wolfsburg were all interested. Um, beforehand, but now obviously Stuttgart's interest has like understandably increased since they need to prepare if Stiller probably goes, or maybe, I say probably, that's too far. Because Inter need to prepare if Çalhanoğlu's leaving. They don't know right now. They don't know. Obviously Beppe hasn't talked to him yet. They need to be ready for anything. Like, these things happen a lot in football. You need to prepare for the what if. What if Çalhanoğlu leaves? You don't know right now. That's why it's important, like Rafa said earlier, to have these things clarified, because now Inter need to prepare, and then if Inter need to prepare, Stuttgart need to prepare, and then there we go. So it's good that they are interested in one of our players, which is kind of hilarious, right? Because if you wait a year longer, then Stankovic can become that player. And it's funny how Stuttgart are now taking him when we want one of their players that they have developed, just like they might develop Stankovic. Do you get what I'm coming from? Like,
Yeah.
it's a bit funny to me how we kind of have a DM sitting right there. Okay, he might not be 100% starting 11 ready, but he can definitely grow. I think he can definitely grow. So it's a shame we sell him, but again, buyback clause, and then I think we're fine.
Yeah, he also was he the midfielder of the season in the Swiss league?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so midfielder of the season from a league that produced Mohamed Salah, that that talents come out of that league all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
it's not a surprise. And yeah, in this market, I would demand 15, especially like imagine we go for Stiller, he's 30 to 40 million. They're getting Stankovic for 15, and then they can sell him in a year or two for 30 to 40 million again. Right. So they're making their money. They're doing their thing. So yeah, it's interesting. We'll see where that goes. And I like the Stiller name, especially if we got priced out of Rovella.
Yeah, forgot to say that. I prefer him a lot more over Rovella. I think Stiller has certain qualities that are rare to find these days in a CDM. I think he's very good. Just to add on to that.
Well, to finish up, we did have an official statement from Inter. So all of the youth sector coaches, we talked about Stefano Vecchi last week, being the U23 coach. How I don't know if that's official quite yet.
No.
But he did, yeah. So he ended his contract with his previous team, and all signs are pointing to him signing for the Inter U23 team. But some two names there. So of course the Primavera, whenever they get a new coach, it's important. So Benito Carbone. And then the U17 is our former goalkeeper, Samir Handanovic. Just some interesting stuff. Just it'll be nice to see what they do and how they do.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, international break update. So we've been talking about Buchanan in Canada this for the last couple weeks. So they went out on penalties this past week. So he's going to be returning to Inter probably in a week or two with the rest of the team. It's kind of nice that it all ended at the same time, but I think that means all Inter players are done for the summer. We don't have anyone playing anymore.
Nope.
So it's time for rest. We finally get a break from football and from Inter players.
Yeah, we have nothing to report anymore, which is therefore a relief for now. Like, this, it's been a long enough season. Like, I don't know if you can tell by this podcast episode of how I'm kind of like talking about certain things. Like, I'm just tired of the season's way too long, man. I feel like I played the games myself sometimes, bro. Like, that Barca double, like those two games, they took I don't know how much of my lifespan, but that was already like felt like I was out there on that pitch for the 180 minutes plus. Like, actually more, it's 210 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
The season's long, the season's long, and it's good that the players are at least getting 1 to 2 weeks rest. I said this before. To me, it's still not enough, but hey, it's some rest for now. So we have to be content with the rest that they are at least getting. At least there's some rest.
Yeah, I think it's better than the last couple summers. So they'll get probably a week or two, and then they'll still get a full preseason. Like, it's not going to be a cut preseason like Lautaro had last summer and Barella. and some of these other international stars for their national teams. So good. It's good. Yeah. It'll be good to rest. And I hope that everybody listening gets some rest as well, that you guys can recover from this long season and we can all go into next season excited, ready to support the team with new energy to see what they can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to one more time, just tell everybody where they can find us.
Yeah, once again, guys, make sure you follow us on Twitter, @inter_extra. Follow us, subscribe on YouTube as well if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, make sure you tap into the YouTube as well if you want to see our beautiful faces on your screen as well, on your TV, phone, whatever. And then, yeah, again, let us know your opinions, man. Again, this was a long one. We're about just over an hour again. But, you know, a lot to cover. I feel like next 1, 2, 3 weeks might be a bit shorter because we'll just have transfer news and we'll just breeze through them, maybe like 20, 30, 40 minutes. But again, if you want any guests, let us know. It's been good to have Rafa on today. But, you know, I'm always open, I'm sure you are as well, to bring on new people, to bring on people that, you know, maybe this this English speaking interspace like hasn't really seen before. Obviously we'll try and get Thomas in for one of the episodes next week. I think he mentioned it to us. We'll try and get into one of the episodes. And then yeah, but it's good to, you know, keep expanding, to keep upgrading, and hopefully the next few weeks we'll have some positive transfer rumors, but also, you know, just a good break, like you said, is definitely going to be good. But yeah, do you want to sign us off?
Yeah. Again, thanks everybody for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. And always, always Forza Inter.